All right. Bill is re-entering and Crystal's coming on.
Cool. All right, I see everybody on my screen. The time is 6:03. So with that, I will call this regular business meeting to order. So let's start with a roll call. Crystal?
Here.
Ricardo?
Here.
Heidi?
Here.
Bill?
Bill, I think we're calling you. Roll call. Are you here?
I saw him.
I can see him too, so I'll count that as a yes. Jason?
Here.
And Chair's here, so we have enough to do business. So if you would all join me in the flag salute, we will do that first off. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United States of
of
America
the United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands,
Stand.
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all. Thank you all for joining here tonight. Appreciate it. And we even had the flag graphic. Thanks, Ginger. With that, we'll move to approve the agenda as it was presented tonight. So I will ask for a vote on approving the agendas as presented. Crystal?
Can I make a motion that we discuss the letter that was recently released regarding postponing school opening added to the agenda?
We don't typically add that. I agree that I think we should discuss it, but that may be better done in a work session.
I thought we were having a work session today. Was that changed?
This is a business meeting.
Yeah, when we had our last work session, we were supposed to have a 30-minute work session in the beginning. Was that changed?
That was not part of this one because we do have a work session scheduled for two weeks from now.
Okay, I'll pull up the YouTube that was recorded. That will show that we were supposed to have a 30-minute work session prior. But thank you.
Okay. So is that a yes or no?
Was that question for me?
Yeah, I'm doing approval of the agenda.
I'm gonna say no.
Ricardo?
Excuse me, I didn't quite hear what you were saying.
This is for approval of the agenda.
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jason?
I do recall the conversation about a discussion prior, but yeah, I'll say yes.
Chair votes for. The agenda is approved as presented. I appreciate the point, Crystal, and if that's how we want to operate, we can certainly do that in the future. I was not prepared to do that, to have a work session prior to this one. So my apologies if that was miscommunicated.
Oh, no, it's not your fault. I thought that would be, I know that you weren't at the last meeting and I thought that would be brought to your attention upon your return. Next time I will take the time to email you in person.
Yeah, well,
I apologize about that.
And we can build that into the next meeting for certain. So, yep.
Thanks.
Okay, I have two public comments that were submitted to me. I'm going to actually read those out to the board. without my comment, these are just how they were received. The first is from Tegan Welch, grade 11. It was received today at 12:20. Dear North Marion School Board, in my opinion, along with many others, online school sucks. I mean, no offense to anyone of you personally, but that is just how I honestly feel. We want to go back and learn in person. Online school has not only impacted me, but it has impacted the mental health of every student too. This is not my opinion either. It is proven by parents, peers, and scientists. I am just another person to help you realize this. The mental health of the students at North Marion should be something that is prioritized, especially right now, but sadly is not. The mental health of students is declining in all ages K through 12, and this is because of the online school system. Students struggle with school and feel stupid because they don't have their teacher right there to help them. This leads to students breaking down and not wanting to continue with their education for the day or even the week. I have firsthand felt this and have seen this, especially with younger students. We want to go back and learn in person. A positive aspect of in-person schooling or even group schooling is that students get the joy of seeing their friends. They get to socialize with their friends and classmates, which actually helps them learn. Socializing helps with sharpening memory, problem solving, real world situations, and again, with happiness. There is also many distractions with learning at home. First off, most students do school in their bedroom, and this means that distractions are everywhere, whether it is electronics or toys or even more. Personally, I'm distracted by everything and everyone that moves or talks, and this distracts me from not listening to class. Then another distraction is all online, which means a computer loading every 5 minutes. We want to go back to school and learn in person. Lastly, I would like to open everyone's eyes to the increased depression, anxiety, and suicide rate that is going on for many reasons. Since March of 2020, suicide becomes the leading cause of death in Oregonian kids and teens. Students are getting higher numbers for anxiety and depression because they have no outlets. Many students use the school as a way to get out of their house and clear their heads. We don't have outlets anymore. We need to be at school for our mental health. Right now, our school causes me stress and I do not want to participate anymore. I want to be in person and see my friends again. I want to actually learn instead of memorizing words and information. I want to see my teachers and see people happy again. We need to go back to school and learn in person. Thank you for your time, Tegan Welch. The second one was received from Haley Welch, grade 12, today at 1:14 p.m. Dear North Marion School Board, I'm a senior and have only been with the school for 5 years. From being there for these past 5 years, I've seen so much and learned all the lovely traditions we have and how amazing our teachers are. However, as of now, we are stuck doing online school. I know of myself and many other students from each school who do not like online school. There are many reasons why. First off, we have a decline in people's mental health from ages pre-K through 12th grade. This is horrible. Kids should not have a decline in mental health because of online school. Currently in Oregon, the leading cause of death is suicide among kids, teens. When you are looking at the ages, it is so sad because this should not be the leading cause of death. In Oregon, seeing these numbers should have caught everyone's attention. Instead, we just said to continue online school and see how things play out. Now kids are depressed, anxiety's gone up, and right now it seems like nobody cares. Nobody is standing up for the students. Secondly, online school is difficult. The classes are not hard. It is the fact that it doesn't work for some people. Multiple people in high school are having to do school at night because they have to help their younger siblings figure out how to work their online classes. Pre-K through 5th grade don't know how to work on online school and they get frustrated and want to give up. Once again, these kids have no way of fighting for themselves. They are 4 to 11-year-olds. They don't know how to stand up for themselves. They shouldn't have to worry about that. Yet they do now because of online school. Once again, nobody is standing up for them. Middle schoolers and high schoolers are struggling as well. The ones who have to teach their younger siblings fall behind because they're required to teach their siblings and help them so they don't get stuck online doing school at night or just when they can. They're getting penalized for helping others. Third, a big problem is that the internet is horrible in places. My house has 3 people in it. We received 2 hotspots at the beginning of the year. We have since gone through 3 sets of hotspots. We have to have 2 because one of my siblings has to go to his dad's and do school there. So me and the other sibling share 1. I alone have had 3 computers and it isn't even the end of the first trimester. The whole online system is horrible. I know from talking to other people that I'm not the only one experiencing this problem. Fourth, for us seniors who play sports while being online, we don't get the opportunity to play sports. This may not be a big deal to you, but for people who love sports, it is huge. Kids play sports to get a chance to have fun, and this helps their mental health. As seniors, we all get excited to play our senior year, but now that it is canceled, we don't get that opportunity to do that. Again, mental health declines. Practice only does so much, but being able to play games is amazing. Online school prevents us from getting to play and having a sports season. We play sports in high school in hopes of making it to the championship, to build bonds with our teammates, and to help our mental health. Me, along with many other students, think that the only way sports will return is if school is back in session with us actually in school. Online school has taken that away from us. Online school is horrible. Parents are concerned for their children because they can now see their children's mental health decline. This is sad. Parents watch their children go from happy, enjoyable children to having to do school 7 days a week with no breaks, or their children get no time to have fun, which is a decline in their mental health. Parents are worried and they try to stand up, but nobody listens. There is nobody standing up for us, and how online school is the worst. I'm not afraid to stand up for the students of North Marion. Something needs to be done. Online school is not the way to go. We need to go back to school. Let us go back. Thank you for your time to read and listen to this. Haley Welch. I'll just comment, I appreciate the online comments that were submitted, and appreciate the passion towards our district. I really do. Next item on the agenda is board communication. Couple items on there. State education update. The links are there within the agenda, embedded within the agenda. The OSBA virtual annual conference is being held November 14th. This is the last time to register to be part of that, and I would encourage you to do so. And I just have a short report for our board self-evaluation. I'm actually just going to take some of what our minutes were created in our board retreat, and I appreciate all of you coming to the board retreat. I think it was actually a very productive day for our board. So I just wanted to hit some of the highlights and get that on public record. The board wants to spend more time with the community and all members of the community, not just those that they see or hear from regularly. We recognize the community is changing, and school staff school staff need support and training to adapt to the new needs. The board believes it is time for a new strategic plan and to be developed. In order for us to help and follow through with some of these, a monthly calendar will be part of our packet to keep us abreast of reminders of the current and future topics. And we will set goals to ensure that the district budget includes support for these goals and activities and the metrics that support them. Last point I'll make is minutes. It was the board's agreement that minutes should be disseminated widely and be available in as many fashions as possible. So that's sort of my report on the thing. I'll finish with this. I appreciate all of the board members' service. This is sort of a thankless job at times, and I do appreciate all of you. I would comment that I think every person on the board is absolutely looking out for the kids' best interest and here to support the kids is in the best way we possibly can. So I would just thank you for your service and in doing that. That is the end of my report on that. So moving on to item number 3, which is the consent agenda. I actually would entertain a motion if somebody would like to chime in on accepting the agenda as presented.
Can we share screen on that agenda for the people who are watching the agendas? Is that possible?
It includes the minutes, which is part of our public record. Sorry, I'm not actually technically able to answer that, Crystal, so.
This is Linda. If Ginger would enable me, I have the agenda up and I could share it, but it says the host has disabled my screen sharing.
Yeah, oh, let me fix that. Done.
Can you see it now? Okay.
Yes,
Yes, we can. Thanks, Linda. Is that what you were looking for, Crystal?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Bill.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, we can move to a vote. Crystal? Crystal? Ricardo?
Aye.
Heidi?
Yes,
Bill?
Aye.
Jason?
See,
Chair votes for. Once again, calling for Crystal.
I'm looking at the list. She's not here. She may be trying to re-enter the meeting. There she is.
Okay.
Okay, Crystal, you're back in and they called for a vote on the consent agenda.
I'm going to vote no. And that is due to the workshop. We had discussed a workshop in our last workshop to take place before this meeting. And it doesn't accurately reflect that. Thanks.
Okay, motion carries. The consent agenda has been adopted or been accepted. Moving on to item number 4. Linda, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Looks like you have a brief report for us.
Yeah. So I just pulled up the summary page for the general fund expenses and revenue. Just wanted to let you know that I have updated the salaries and associated payroll costs. So those numbers are close to what they'll be. And as of November 4th, when I updated this, we hadn't received any tax payments yet, and we usually do by then. So hopefully they're starting to roll in. I didn't take the time to look today, but I paid my taxes, so it should come soon. I don't know if anyone had any questions on the revenue and expenses, but it's pushing 10% for an ending fund balance, but be wary that will change. We're starting to get a lot of costs in for online learning and those sorts of things that are not going to be covered by all of our grants. So. Any questions for me?
Great, thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.
Moving on
I'm
to item.
sorry, I
Oh.
do have a quick question, but dang it, I lost my mouse and I can't get my hand raised quick enough. Has the expenses been equal or greater from in-person to online?
So far, they've been less because we haven't had to pay for substitutes. And we've had COVID grant money to cover costs for the online learning. That will change as that money runs out.
Okay, so it's cheaper for the kids to be in distance learning.
I don't know, Crystal, until you see the grant money. When it goes away and it's really affecting the general fund, that may not be the case.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Linda. I don't hear any other questions, so thank you. Moving on to item number 5. We have 2 issues to deal with here. OSB elections for position 11 and a resolution on legislative priorities. So I think we have to deal with these one at a time. So if everybody's run through this, we do have election to cast as a board. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll move on item number 1 that we support Bill Gropp for position number 11.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I'm not sure if I should vote on myself, but I guess I can.
All right, so we'll move to a vote. This is for to support Bill for position 11 and to cast the board's ballot in that favor. Crystal?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
And chair votes for. Good luck, Bill.
Thanks.
Second part of that is supporting a resolution for OSB priorities. Not sure that you guys have had a chance to read through that, but it was a fairly lengthy, detailed document. But I again would entertain a motion to support that.
I'll make a motion. We approve the Legislative Policy Committee of OSBA's legislative priorities as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote on this. Crystal?
Aye.
Ricardo?
Aye.
Heidi?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Chair votes for. Motion carries. Part B of number 5, I believe, yes, is the student investment account. And I will let Ginger take that portion.
If Linda, if you would open the document that has the SIA plan, there we go, that one. And yeah, these are documents are not new. These are documents that you've seen before, and you reviewed it and agreed with the plan moving forward. And what we know now is that they funded approximately a third distribution to start with, and we are hoping to maintain the student investment account funding through the next legislative session, though if there's a possibility of reduction in the state school fund as a result of decreased revenues, then we may not have all of the funds for the student investment account this year, and it may be delayed. But we can definitely count on the upwards of 40% that they plan to allocate to us. The detailed budget spreadsheet that is part of this document that's attached also includes the budget detail of how we plan to spend that money. While we had originally planned to do all parts of that grant program simultaneously, of course, with the allocation of only partial funds, we cannot do them all. Therefore, we'll be focusing on the parts that we can implement. At this particular time, the greatest need that was identified in the plan, and is also the greatest need at this time, looks like social emotional learning, wellness, well-being for students and staff. And that's probably where we're likely to do some investment, though we might be able to use some of those funds to support some of the learning activities as well. So with that in mind, we need an opportunity for you to make comments on these documents if you've had time to read through them, and to the board to approve, make a motion to approve the student investment account plan.
Thanks, Ginger. Do I hear a motion to move forward?
Crystal has her hand raised, Glenn.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. Yeah, I was curious, as I was reading through this, a lot of it seems irrelevant due to the distance learning. Are we going to update that? I mean, we've been in distance learning since March, and a lot of this is for in-person.
Well, we are revising the strategies so that what we hope to accomplish will fit into this format. We are still focusing on social emotional learning. That is still happening with the Care and Connection activities. So the investment in the categories is still pretty much the same. And yes, it does sound a lot like returning to in-person instruction, but these tasks are being accomplished now. So, building a comprehensive network of community partners to support social emotional learning, strategy number 2 is one of the things that we're doing, and that's in place whether we're in person or in distance learning mode. So yes, there would be some revisions to the steps that we take, but we're still focused on the outcomes that people said were the most important things for our district right now.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that the board approve, what is this called? The SIA Student Investment Account Grant Agreement for submission to ODE as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that?
I'm just going to say that I don't feel like it accurately reflects what we're planning any longer.
Does anybody else have any other discussion?
Can I say something, Glenn?
Sure.
I know that a lot of effort, including community meetings and all of the requirements to make sure that this is a broadly a broad agreement that has a lot of collaborative elements to it, and a lot of staff time was put into this. And I think that the overall goals and how we develop this is still pertinent. So that is why I'm supporting it.
Anybody else have any discussion related to this? Hearing no further discussion, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. So an affirmative vote is to approve the SIA grant agreement. Crystal,
No.
Ricardo,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
Bill,
Aye, yes.
Jason,
Aye.
chair votes for. Motion carries. Moving on to item 5C is OSBA policies, second reading and adoption. Again, I'll turn this over to Ginger.
Okay, let's see, the all students belong information. Crystal, thank you. Thank you very much for the work that you did, giving us your comments and feedback. If you've looked through the documents with the recommendations for the ACB, I agree with what she recommended. That would be what I would have done in the policy itself. So I recommend that be adopted as is presented to you there. Now for the second one, the administrative regulation, because that's something that would require feedback from people that are actually implementing the policy and the procedures, and thinking about all the complaint procedures and how things work. I would make recommendations, strong recommendations to make revisions to what's in front of you in the following way. For step one, where it's been recommended to strike the words immediately, promptly, and to use without unreasonable delay, I would recommend the word promptly be used there instead of the one that was recommended to you. In the second sentence, it says the report the incident to the building or program administrator and counselor, and the word program is removed. I would recommend that remain to include people who are in charge of programs where incidents may evolve. For example, special education. That is not a building program. It's a district-wide program. So it's important for the special ed administrators to be able to be engaged in this process. Since they are not building administrators, this procedure would inadvertently leave them out, and that could be a problem. So I recommend that the word program be retained. In step two, I agree with the top part. And then down at the bullet parts below, the fourth bullet, transformation of the conditions that perpetuated the harm, is struck out. I recommend that it remain because in order to accomplish a desired goal, which would be part of the paragraph above in step two, to prevent further harm against those persons impacted from taking place, requires us to do something that we've been talking about, to look at the systemic issues that may be leading to bias incidents not being addressed in a way that allows people to talk it out or to resolve the problem or to have a conversation about it. It would eliminate that step from being an important part. So if we leave that last bullet in there, the transformation piece, it allows the administrators to look deeper into, beyond the initial, what was the event, to what are some of the things that were in play that may have facilitated this event to happen, that we can help resolve or educate or spend time helping people understand why it might have happened and what we can do to stop it from happening. So I recommend that that fourth bullet remain. And then the next below, the line below, where the words determine responsibility are removed, I agree with that. I think that making a decision is sufficient for that. On page 2, step 3, the word designee is removed. And this is could be an administrative problem because occasionally with our complaint processes, the word designee is really important. For example, in our Title IX, we're required to have someone who is designated to, in policy, that person must be named, and that is the person who is responsible for processing any Title IX complaint that comes through. So I recommend that, again, for consistency in policy and practice, that in step 3, that the word designee remain. And then at step 4, down below where the word is struck out, at the next regular or special board meeting, and it just says at a board meeting. I could go either way with that, but I think that having a special board meeting to resolve something that may be a very sensitive issue, you should have the ability to do that. So we should be able to call a special meeting if we needed to resolve something quickly, or if there was a tight timeline, or if it just helps the parties resolve the issues quicker if we meet. So I would also consider leaving that language in at the next regular or special board meeting. So that would be my preference. And I believe that's all for that policy. So those are my recommendations for the AR, the administrative regulation for the procedures. So if you're ready to adopt them, I would recommend the adopting as presented for the ACB, and ACB-AR, I would strongly suggest that you adopt it with my suggested revisions.
Glenn, I put my hand up just when you're ready.
Yeah, I do
My
too, when you're
screen's
ready.
tiny, so go ahead, Bill. I'm trying to figure my screen out here.
All right, I'll go ahead. Just again, a verbiage change that I'm suggesting at the step 1, where we talk about putting it back to building or program administrator, which I agree with. I recommend that we change everywhere where it's after that, it just says building administrator, and it should say responding administrator post step 1. And that's just a formality thing because I think that's obvious, but just putting it out there. Because it just says building administrator past that sentence.
I see that. Yeah.
So I would like it to say responding administrator just to be technically correct.
In each instance after that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you offering that as an amendment, Bill?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with what Ginger pointed out on the other things.
Okay. Crystal, do you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to be patient for you.
Go ahead.
Hey, so when we were in the workshop, we all discussed how transformation was not the right verbiage that we wanted to relay. And the specific reason that, and a place where this could become sticky is, say if you had this applied to a religious belief, then how would you transform, say, an atheist versus a person who believes in God when there's a biased incident? I believe that kind of oversteps the bounds of the school district. And that's why I took out the transformation portion of it, because there was multiple people, Heidi and Jason, in the last work session that didn't like that direct verbiage. So with saying that, I make a motion that we postpone this with the to the work session so that we can see the actual document with the changes that were suggested and some other way to say transformation.
Do I hear a second?
Crystal, I have a comment for Crystal's question.
Sure, go ahead.
In a recognition of the point that you made about the word of the transformation, could that word be replaced with a review of the conditions?
I would take review.
Yeah.
Transformation means that you're changing someone's opinion, and that's not going to always be acceptable.
Yeah, so it could be and I think in the particular case that you offered, having people have the opportunity to understand why there's not what people believe differently, and and people have the right to to their religion, and expressing those religious views are okay. And for people to not have religious views, it's okay.
Right.
And for them to understand that, what are the conditions that make that hard for people not to be able to talk about it? Why can't we talk about it? Kind of thing. It's that kind of a review of the conditions of figuring out why people can't feel comfortable talking to each other.
Right. And review is a very different perception than transforming.
Yeah. Yeah. So can we change that word to review?
Yeah, that was the only one that I'm really kind of a stickler on.
And
Back to the wonky, you have a motion, but without a second currently. Just saying.
yeah, that's and the motion dies because it didn't get a second on it. So so given that we're still going through these modifications,
Lynn, Heidi's hand is raised.
sure, go ahead, Heidi.
First, can we put the document back up on the screen so I can see that wording again? And then, yeah, thank you. So it would read, instead of the word transformation, a review.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, I could support that.
So are you making a motion to that effect?
Well, can we make an all-encompassing motion?
We can. Yep, we
So
absolutely.
let me, if you don't mind, I'll take a whack at it. That we approve. Hold on, I gotta find it. That we approve for second reading and adoption ACB policies ACB and ACB-AR with the recommended from staff, aka Ginger, all of her recommendations and the changing of the word on step 2 transformation to review.
And does that includes Bill's responding?
Oh, sorry, and Bill's changing of the grammatics for responding administrator. Sorry, motion now complete. Thank you, Heidi. Forgot my own suggestion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Have a motion to second. Clarification, Diane, is that all clear as to what we're asking here for?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any other discussion then from the board?
Yes, I just have a quick question. Can I get a final on that sent to me after all those changes are published?
Yes.
Thank you.
I will give what I scribbled on this piece of paper to Diane so she can clean it up, and then we'll have you guys review it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Am I muted?
Sorry, go ahead. I'm not sure. Was that Diane?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was muted or not.
Oh.
So just a little clarification. So because it's a second read and adoption, I clean up all the changes. Ginger reviews it, and then I send it to OSBA. It takes them about 2 weeks or so to get it up on our website, and then they'll send it back.
I just
Does
wanted to
that-
make sure all the changes were correct because we talked about so much, but I'm sure you'll do a fine job.
Okay.
Thanks for that point of clarification. Any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Crystal,
Aye.
Ricardo,
Aye.
Heidi,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
chair votes for. That one is second read and adopted. Ginger, I'll let you go ahead and take it on this next one. Is that right?
Did we lose Ginger?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was muted,
Oh.
just talking to myself. These are for staff and students. They're required. It's just the update, including the COVID language. And do you have any questions about this for the second read? I'm sorry, for the first read.
Is this first or
Wait, this is second
read?
read. This is second read. We approved the first read
Oh,
on
right.
October
I'm sorry.
26th.
Yeah, the second read. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Hearing silence, I'll make a motion to approve for second reading and adoption policies GB, EB, GB, EB, AR, JHCC, JHCC, AR as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question, or not a question, I have a statement.
I didn't catch the second.
Ricardo.
Thank you.
I
Go
just
ahead,
have a
Go ahead,
statement.
Crystal.
I'm voting no on this because I do not believe that COVID should be written into all of these policies.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. I'll move to a vote. Crystal,
No.
Ricardo,
Aye.
Heidi,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Jason,
Reluctantly, aye.
chair votes for, motion carries for a second reading and adoption. And our next one is 6-3. And this is also the same second reading.
Yes, say a second reading. These are the sexual harassment laws that were updated to reflect the federal policy changes that require both sides of the story to be fully vetted, is the short version of that. And we did a first reading on this. The JB indicates the student versions, and the GB the personnel versions. And so the language covers everyone in the system, and they're all required changes. So anyway, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them at this time.
Don't see anybody's hand up. Does that mean somebody take a crack at a motion?
Let me take a deep breath for this one. All right, so I'll make a motion to approve for a second reading and adoption policies JBA, GBN, JBA, GBN AR1, JBA, GBN AR2, And for staff, GBN JBA, GBN JBA AR1, GBN JBA AR2 as presented.
I have a motion on the table. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Heidi. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, let's move to a vote on this one. Crystal,
Aye.
Ricardo,
Aye.
Heidi,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
chair votes for. Second reading and adoption complete on that one. Moving on in our agenda, we have Ginger and District Operations Report.
Okay. Well, the biggest impact continues to be our adaptation to the impacts of COVID and the state metrics, and trying to provide everything we possibly can for students and families at this time. And then, the constant changes. Our staff are working diligently all the time. They're trying to learn at the same time they're trying to teach, as they're trying to be a family member. The community is stepping up to help out. Adults, families are helping each other. The PTO is doing a tremendous job. Our youth services team. I mean, it's a constant grind, and it doesn't stop. And every time there's a change, there's a whole new set of information to deal with. As we were very much looking forward to using the early release information that came out around Halloween about coming up with ways to start rolling kids back into school and starting conversations with our associations about getting ready for that, and everyone's anxious to see the kids again. Then the metrics start going the other way, and we get another document to deal with. And as a result, I wanted to explain kind of the bottom line situation. I'm going to share my screen, Linda. So if you give it back to me. Here comes, this is the metric now, a guide for the metric, the shortcut of how for returning to in-person through on-site or hybrid model. Okay, so these are basically this area right here, metrics and models. These are people who are fully on-site. Here's the on-site and distance learning. It's kind of the best of both worlds at the moment. The transition is people who are in comprehensive distance learning and are planning to move to bring students back. And this is where we were before, and looking forward to stepping into this area. And now we are way back here. And where everyone's in distance learning in the county. And this is broken down. I'm going to take my cursor down here. Two different ways. If you're in a large county, these are the metrics in this row. If you are in a small county, these are the metrics in this row. So these are our targets, and they used to be tighter, but they moved it from instead of a set number to a range. And if you're anywhere in the range, you can begin to move to the right. Well, yeah. Well, it's on your screen, yes. Or to the left, Yes, you can move to the left over here. Now, how this works is down below here. So I'm going to move down here. We're currently here, and we want to move in this direction. For us to be able to do that, we have to meet the metrics above and then begin to make a plan to make a transition. So schools and counties with a downward case positivity trend must remain in CDL until they drop into the moderate risk category or lower. So moving up here again, we need to move to here. And we need to move here as soon as possible. Right now, the numbers are definitely going the opposite direction, and that's unfortunate. Because we need to be moving closer to this 100 so that we can begin to move students into on-site in cohorts. Okay, so this is what it will look like. Prioritize careful phasing in of on-site or hybrid for elementary school, starting with K3 and adding additional grades up to grade 6. This is grade 6 in this model is if it is a self-contained classroom at an elementary school. Our 6th grade is actually in the middle school because they're not self-contained. And even in this model, middle school and high school primarily remain in comprehensive distance learning with allowable limited in-person instruction. Over time, if elementary schools can demonstrate the ability to limit transmission in the school environment, we can transition to on-site or hybrid. And then eventually, when the case numbers in the county are lower than 50, less than 50, we can do on-site and maintaining cohorts and following the protocols that way. So this is the current model that we currently have. We have exceptions that we're still working with. There's some exceptions for limited in-person instruction. And that is for what are designated as your most needy students. And that could be students who cannot, for a variety of reasons, whether it's related to an individual education plan or a condition that's served with specialized staff and programs. It could be students who are unable to learn because they have no internet access at home, no way to access education at home, no support. It could be a variety of conditions. It could be a home language, no English is spoken anywhere. You may be a level 1 learner. That may be someone who falls into that category. And of course, there's a range of ways in which a student would be considered the most needy. Some students who have individual education plans are served perfectly under the comprehensive distance learning program and are doing fine. So it's not just that, it's a variety of conditions in order to determine the greatest need. So that's something that our administrative team is working on with the counseling department to identify who those students are. So when we can begin to bring small groups of students, very, very small groups of students in for support, we can do so. Our neighboring school districts who have been bringing students in for limited in-person instruction have stopped doing so at this particular time because they're also in an area where they're having an outbreak within their community and their staff. And they realize that they have to stop because it's real close to them. It's happening to them. So they have chosen to do that. We are not in that place yet where we're having that kind of an impact. So it's still something we can build toward as soon as possible. Once we have a limited in-person instruction model in place and we can bring small students back, and that's happening and the numbers are dropping, then we can begin to talk about bringing more students back. But it's going to take time. There's an exception if we had families that were impacted by the wildfire. We're not a low population density exception, so that doesn't impact us. But we were given this due to a variety of impact figures and factors. We were given this exception to allow us to bring back students who were directly impacted by the wildfires. We have not had the demand for this. We don't have a lot of families that were directly impacted, so we weren't able to take advantage of this particular scenario to bring families back, but it does exist. So, do you have any questions about this model and how it impacts our school district at this time?
I guess my only comment is that we can read it now and it's going to change tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned. This target has been moving constantly, and no one can make any decisions based on the fact that this has never been, it never settles down. We've been doing the work for 6 months and we continue to get told a different story week by week. My little vent.
Ginger, can you just cover the 10% rules there on the paragraph right above the boxes?
Here.
Yeah, just lightly, right?
Sure. If a school draws greater than 10% of students or greater than 10% of staff from any given county where case rates or test positivity put them in the transition column, they should consider delaying a return to in-person instruction. Okay, well, for us, I know that we do not have greater than 10% of our students from another county, but we do have greater than 10% of our staff from another county, and that county is Clackamas, for your information. But we will take that into consideration. Fortunately, Clackamas is doing a little bit better than we are, so that will not impact our decision making at this particular time.
Just have what Clackamas just got put in the 2-week pause today.
Yeah. But I still think their numbers are better than ours are at this particular time.
Yeah, that's not hard to be better than ours.
Yeah.
Crystal has her hand up. Go ahead, Crystal.
What led you to the decision to not review weekly metrics until the last week of January?
We have to review weekly metrics.
But the letter that got sent out to the parents said that we will not have school till February.
That's likely. It says we can't guarantee it. The metrics going up, we will review them weekly. And if that number drops down, of course, let me put this here. The likelihood of that happening is like, people wanted to know, first of all, what to expect between now and February. Employees wanted to know, parents wanted to know. And we're going to keep looking at them every 2 weeks. We have to. And if we drop down to close to 100, we have 2 weeks to work with our local health authority contact to see if it's possible for us to move back into a different model.
Have you been able to talk to them about challenging being lumped in with Salem and Salem Hospital to treat most of the COVID for the county?
Yes. The biggest outbreak in our area, there is someone's getting me the actual location and case count information, and there are places where they have been able to show that they are far enough away from the situation to be considered for an exemption. We share a lot of our families, have relatives, and are connected between here and Jervis, I say, is most. of our families in between. So it's North Marion, Woodburn, and Jervis. And currently Jervis has a pretty high outbreak. I believe that the quote that I received today was 76. So it's the local health authority will help you identify exactly what's happening in your area. And you can ask for exceptions. We're currently not eligible for that given our local metrics. And
So
given
now we're being tied into Jervis,
we're tied into the county. And,
right?
Yeah.
So
and
why would Jervis be any reflection on the North Marion School District?
because we have many families that live there, and we have many family members that have relatives that live there. And
So are these transfer students, or are these our students who live in district?
oh, these are our students who are, well, we have some transfer students. We have transfer students that live all over Woodburn as well, interdistrict transfer students. We
And
have-
when can we look at those types of metrics? Because the majority of our students are now being penalized because we have out of district students that we've allowed to transfer in. That's what it sounds like.
Well, no, it's not it's kind of a reality. It's looking at districts don't live in bubbles. Just because, we live here doesn't mean the rest of our families don't live here and work somewhere else or shop somewhere else. The spread of COVID they're saying is schools are not where the spread is happening. They're happening in the communities. They're happening in informal gatherings. They're happening at family gatherings. And those things are happening. Some of our families that live in our community, in our school district boundaries, have relatives that live in Jervis and relatives that live in Woodburn, or they shop there, or we can't put a impermeable bubble around us and assume that the only metrics that matter are the ones that are just in our zip code. Yes, that matters, but there are other factors to consider when we're thinking about the health and safety of all of our kids and all of their family members as well. That goes into decision making. And yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. They're not being penalized for that. It
really reflects it. It's consistent that our children are not the main concern. It is consistent that is a consistent issue. And I'm just going to call it out right now because it is apparent by the consistent changing metrics. I have family that work at Salem at the hospital. We know what's going on. We see it every day, and it's consistent that the children are not the center of the decision making. And I will leave it at that.
Heidi's had her hand raised for a while. Go ahead, Heidi.
Oh, I was just wondering, do we know what the numbers are? Because I'm not clear on what the numbers are. When they say the case rate or whatever, that is, what exactly does that mean? Is it people who have tested positive that day, or is it test positive, or
here's
symptomatic, asymptomatic?
Here's the metrics that we have. Okay, for Marion County, the number of tests that were given during this time period, the number of positives, and then the percentage rate. And we're looking for a number below 10%.
On my screen, your picture is over that, or
is it?
Can you tell me what that number is? Well, it's just on what I'm looking at.
No, it's fine on my screen.
Okay, what is that rate? That last column for us?
Here? Okay.
Yeah, is it 13%?
Yes, test positivity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And see, Multnomah County's even though their numbers are going up, their positivity rate is still just at 10%.
We also have teachers coming from south and west of us as well. It's not just Clackamas, right?
Right, but has to be greater than 10% of your staff kind of thing.
did we count, like, if we're going to go to zip codes, are we counting the teachers that are coming from Salem, which I know of quite a few?
Yeah, but but they
Right.
don't constitute 10% of the staff. I mean, and they're in Marion County, they're in our county, so we don't have to count them.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We don't know that count if we're going to break
No.
it down by region inside the county.
Right.
Because we have a lot of teachers that don't live in our district. They
Right.
live in Marion County, but they don't live in our district.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are the metrics that were released today. What we are continuing to do that other districts are not, who are in the same situation we are, is we're continuing activities because I am banking on the health department's information that says schools are not the spread. So therefore, if we're following the guidelines and following the rules, we can still bring kids in to do sports and clubs. They can still participate in activities. There's still things that we can do, and we are doing. We are not canceling them, and other districts are at this time. So as long as we're following the guidelines and doing the things we are allowed to do without fail, to provide the best sense of normalcy that we can, anything that we can do, what we're doing. And I understand their frustration. And like Jason said, it's changing, and it's going to keep changing. I mean, I think I'd rather try to catch water that's flowing and moving. I mean, it changes every week. There's, I don't know. I'm just glad that this isn't a fast evolving virus, that it's taking forms and we can't even detect it like some other viruses are. So
Heidi, did you have another comment?
It's just a comment. It's just so frustrating when we have no when really we have no local control over our school district or our kids. We have no say in what happens in our school district, and the power all rests, with one executive entity. And it's hurting our kids. And what was very frustrating to hear Governor Brown's speech was that her and Colt Gill acknowledged everything that we've talked about, how much it's hurting kids, everything we heard from our two students at the beginning of the meeting. And yet, despite that, but that's okay, kids are committing suicide, terrible things are happening, but you know what? We're still going to keep your school closed down. Despite the fact that we know that we can run schools safely and in a pretty safe environment, I think, in this COVID environment. And that's just what's so frustrating. And I would like to know, what can we as school boards do about it? Because I just see we have no power with this. That's my comment.
Well, we could do a resolution, Heidi, and send it to the governor.
Yeah, we talked about that. I support that. Everything we talked about putting in a resolution, they acknowledged in their meeting, but they said, you know what? We don't care. So.
You second that?
Well, yeah. I'm trying to find this. There's something I want to share with you. Because I wanted to find out whether or not, what is the actual numbers and counts in student mental health. Public Health Surveillance Update, October 15th, 2020, suicide-related information. Let's see. Of course, 2020 data won't be compiled for quite some time, but the comparison codes that came out Comparison, EDs and UCCs. Suicide-related visits in the third quarter of 2020 are similar to 2019.
I would disagree since that's my employment.
Well, I know, but I have this, I know that you may disagree, but I'm looking at something that our district nurse sent me. I told her to investigate this. And she says she can't find anything to support that particular statement. Although there's
That's because the information won't be available for several years from now when it no longer matters and the children are dead.
well, yeah, but to have people believe that, you know, like you said, the data won't be available, but to have them believe that the data is available is not correct.
Well,
Because
in the
Yeah, but
beginning of this, in the beginning of this pandemic, you alone said that there was a 600% increase in Marion County crisis calls.
yes. Yes, but that was a variety of crisis calls. It wasn't just that one particular topic.
So now mental health, it just depends on what they're calling for. It's no longer a catch-all. I would like to move on from this.
Yes.
Because you don't have valid data to support it.
Well, I've actually, the only thing that I've been presented are people's opinions, and I asked for some data and I have it, but you haven't asked for it, so I'll stop sharing it.
Heidi has her hand. Go ahead, Heidi.
Oh, I probably haven't lowered it from last time, but anyway, wasn't there a survey sent out recently to parents asking how their kids are doing with homeschooling? Was that just the middle school or was that?
Oh, no, that was the staff as well.
And do we have results from that or will that be available to us?
Yeah, they're putting that together. That's something that Sherry's doing. I can ask her to share that out.
I mean, I know we don't have maybe statistics and data and numbers to support, but I think it's clear talking with parents and schools, I mean, and teachers and students that, I mean, it's clear that there's a serious mental health crisis occurring in progress with this learning. And I guess I just see it as a balance. What's more important, you know, in the long run, people getting COVID, symptomatic or asymptomatic, which is a horrible, terrible thing, or, you know, groups, significant groups of students having, experiencing personal crisis or academic challenges that are going to affect them for years to come.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
Based on a death rate that's 0.07% likely to cause death. .07%.
I mean, I guess it's like Crystal said. I mean, I just don't see, it's frustrating. We're talking about it. I think a lot of us are just expressing our frustration now, you know, and we're frustrated because we just don't know what we can do.
Right.
And like Crystal said, we can do a resolution, and we talked about it, and you know, if that's something that we can get behind and will be helpful, I'm all for it.
Well, at least our parents will know that we're listening.
Okay.
Okay, with that, if there is no other business to come before us, I think we're done.
I do want to read a statement into the minutes. And I wasn't sure where I could do that at.
I don't know if that's
well, at our work session, they said we could read a statement in.
I don't recall that.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
At the board retreat?
Don't remember that.
I think that the board chair would have to review that if it's an added agenda item.
Because I tried to discuss it earlier. I could just post it on the internet if that's what you want.
Well, what is the statement related to?
The parent email that was received.
Okay, that doesn't, there's a lot of parent emails.
The parent email that was sent out 2 hours ago before our meeting started, after the public comments section.
Yeah, I would prefer that we deal with this in a work session, where we're a little bit more informal. It seems like it's that. So I would prefer that we deal with it in a work session.
Who are you speaking for?
Myself.
This is a board meeting. We're speaking as a board.
I'll post it on the internet. Thanks.
Heidi, did you still have your hand up? I'm sorry. Nope, must have went away. Okay, if there's no further business, we have come to the end of our agenda. So I will adjourn the meeting at 7:23. I appreciate all your time and look forward to seeing you soon. Have a good Veterans Day and yeah, appreciate all your time. So thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it.